right, thank you everyone who has joined the stream already and is patiently waiting. I am also patiently waiting. We are currently waiting on Chop, who is in the final of a poker tournament as we speak. So obviously best wishes for us to go out to Chop, but at the same time get a move on so we can do some important things like play some Wingspan. But yeah, we'll just try and fill a bit of time on the commentary for game one. I've got Groovenstein, so how are you doing, Groove?
Flan, I'm doing splendid. I've got some exciting stuff on the agenda today. I'm making some hummus from fresh.
Ooh.
So
very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. So that's exciting. I know you're a big fan of hummus.
Big fan of hummus. Yeah. Big fan.
As am I. Also, this is just my usual day of making bad jokes and
making bad jokes and making hummus. That's all you need to make.
That's right. It's a full life.
Sounds good. Are you an experienced hummus maker, or is this your first experience?
No, this is my first go, and I got I got the recipe. So I'm a fan of foodandwine.com and Bon Appetit, whatever. Like they've got they've got some solid stuff on there. So Michael Solomonov, who's kind of a well-known chef, it's one of it's a recipe from him, and so I'm confident in it. The chickpeas have been soaking overnight. So
very good. You already sound like you know what you're doing if you're soaking chickpeas. So
yeah,
I have full faith in you. So no, sounds very good. I will be interested to hear how that goes for you. So yeah, good to see good number of people in the chat. If you are just joining, as I said earlier, we're just waiting on Chop to win hopefully his poker tournament before we get going. But yeah, I guess we'll kind of talk a little bit about this tournament so far. So this is the Alpine Swift ABCs. I've got to remember that because we've been doing so much of the Blue Tip Bash recently. But this was this was the first European expansion tournament that we started on the server, and had to pause it for a little bit just because of the bugs. But obviously, once the majority of the game breaking ones were fixed, we could get going again. And yeah, it's been a straight knockout, best of 3, single elimination. So I believe we're kind of getting into the later stages now. So this is the round just before the quarterfinals. So whoever will win this is going to go on and face Daniel in the quarterfinals. And it's always kind of at this stage of the tournament where, I look at who's left and I look at them all and think, anyone could win this tournament. We've got some real experienced players there, obviously. Tay-ray's won quite a few tournaments. We've got Sim, I believe, is already through into the semi-finals. We all know.
Well, yeah,
the extraordinary record. Yeah.
Yeah, Sim just like gets like an automatic bye to the quarterfinal of any tournament, don't they?
It feels like that may as well be the case, but you still got to win the games. You still got to, especially in a kind of knockout format like this. There's a lot of rounds to come through. So absolutely, yeah. Like I said, some real good players and some kind of newer faces as well that maybe haven't won their first tournament, but you kind of always see them in the quarterfinals or the semi-finals. So. Yeah, maybe that will be their chance to kind of get through and get through into those later stages as well. But yeah, we've got some people in the chat asking about the hummus, but we've got some people asking about the poker as well. So Chop did offer to stream his poker, but I was not so keen on that because I know absolutely nothing about poker. Now, Groove, on the other hand, you are.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I should use the word expert, but I'm going to call you a poker expert because relative to me,
Right, yeah.
That could have been fun.
It's not a high bar, granted, but no, I mean, I played some years back. I played like kind of part-time, semi-professionally for a couple years. So I mean, I at least know enough to BS my way through
nice
through Chop's final table. It'd be kind of like a a role reversal, because like usually it's like you with the great strategic insights and me with the kind of just weird comments, and so
Nice.
yeah, so we could flip it,
That sounds good. That sounds good. Like to mix it up every now and then. So, I think Chop might be done.
I am.
Excellent.
And
are you
victorious,
gonna
I hope?
tell us how it went?
No. I mean, I can tell you how it went. It didn't go well. Yeah, no. It went well in it, considering it's one of those poker things that Groove. I got second and won like, I don't know, 450 US, and you kind of annoyed. I'm like, because you just want to win. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Wingspan tournament's the same, right? Like, if you were to tell someone like, "Hey, I got second this tournament," they're like, "Great," and you're like, "But I lost the final."
It's always the way. It's always the way.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right, so I think that means we're ready to get on with what everyone is here for, which is a very entertaining Wingspan game. Tay-ray is still awake, just barely holding on.
There was a yawn there.
What? You guys can't hear me?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Well, it's better you found out that way and not
I
something
know, I
else.
was muted.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you sound kind of like you're in a bathroom right now. So it's
All right.
Good thing it's not, so.
Absolutely. Good stuff.
All right.
All right.
Hats.
Yeah. Do you wanna? you gotta do your flip. You said you were gonna do your flip ages ago, and you've still not done it.
Hats.
I never got asked about flip. Did you call heads?
Yeah.
yeah, which means
Alright.
he goes first. I
Yes.
think, right?
Yeah.
Let's go.
No.
It's like the
No,
first
not a
person.
chance,
You don't
not a
even have to
chance.
say
Yeah, it is.
HDR. It's like
heads.
the first person who
Yeah.
person who says heads gets to go
If
first.
I learned anything yesterday, it was that heads always wins. So,
Uh-oh.
all right. Did we?
What account are you playing on, Tay? Just
Normal Tay-ray.
Normal Tay-ray,
Yep.
the best kind of Tay-ray.
The best. The best.
Yes, we have someone in the chat asking, is it possible to join the server? Yes, there'll be a link in the description, so check that out. Come and join us.
It's
And
amazing.
It is.
Please
It
do.
is amazing. Cool. All right. Well, it looks like one of you's in the game, even if the other one isn't. So,
Am I?
I think Chop has got the invite sent out. Cool. All right. I'm gonna get rid of you both
Bye.
so we can deal with this game. So,
all right. I'll. Do you want me to mute?
nah,
this?
that's all right. I got
Oh,
it.
you
I
don't?
got it.
Cool.
Yeah, on it. All right. Good stuff. Good
luck.
Good luck to both. So is Tay-ray going first? Tay-ray is indeed going first. So here we go. And ooh, not the best starting
Alright.
hand.
No. I mean, you got the Moorhen is the only wetland option in his hand, and that sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, you might be looking at, let's see, that first end around, is that ground nests?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so, maybe you look at grabbing that flamingo, but then, yeah, this is not good.
No. The flamingo is just so tricky in 1v1. So, see the bird power, you get to tuck as many cards as the number of times your opponent uses their wetlands, right? So, I think it's any of these birds that rely on something that your opponent is doing. So, kind of like the Dunnock in the hand as well, you get eggs for every grasslands. Anytime you have that, you're relying on your opponent to do something. It's so easy to deny that and kind of put it off. And particularly with the flamingo, actually, if I don't draw cards, you're not going to get any tucks. So I think it's so easy to kind of prevent that in that 1v1 setting. So, yeah, I think, I don't know, probably, I think probably the Dunnock is the one you keep out of those, and just kind of go for the food. And I mean, I wouldn't even mind a 5-food start here, to be honest, because these are just not the kind of starting birds you'd look to keep.
Yeah, I mean, ooh.
Yeah, it's hard to
don't
know
even-
what to say on this because it's just so rough. I mean, they're kind of, I don't know, three birds feels like too many, right? I don't know. The moorhen
I wonder.
is such an enigma. It's so tricky to find the right time and place to make that work, and this certainly doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those birds where, and we see a lot more of these in the European expansion. The egg cannon is one.
Mhm.
Where that it's like you're only going to get to use the bird to its potential, a couple of times. A lot of times you're just going to end up kind of skipping the power. And so
exactly.
I guess, yeah, it's just such a rough start. Honestly, I don't even.
No.
I mean, if Tay's is he looking at keeping the moorhen, but not a fish? Oh, there he did select a fish. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to keep the moorhen, you're going to look to get that down kind of straight away, really. But obviously, the advantage it has is a lot of egg space. But then again, you look at these end of rounds, that's not super helpful in that respect. I don't know. I'd probably be looking at the hooded crow, to be honest. If I had to pick a wetland bird of the limited choice they have available, the crow, you're basically you're guaranteed points because your opponent's going to be laying eggs at some point throughout the game, right? And you get the cards as points. You get a bit of card cycle as well at the end of the round, which is useful. So I certainly wouldn't have minded that. But slightly more promising start here for Chop. So good forest and wetland options. So straight in there with the thrush and the gull, and there is a cherry as well in the feeder, so they can pretty easily get that thrush down and start getting something working there.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is kind of pretty straightforward start for Chop. It's a favorable setup in the feeder for the thrush. Of course, the gull can take whatever food. So you keep a cherry, a grub, and something else, and take a cherry, get that thrush down.
Yeah.
And then kind of get the goal down and start seeing what you can go through.
Yep, and it's a pretty solid position for that first end of round goal as well. So the goal with the ground nest and the thrush as well with that star nest. So I think you can feel pretty comfortable winning that. And diet specialist as well. Just seen that on the bonus card. I quite like that one. I think that's pretty easy to hit that lower threshold and get 3 points. And even those the 4+ birds is pretty straightforward as well. But Tay-ray straight in there with the warbler. Not probably the bonus cards they're looking for. Viticulturist is okay. Again, another one of these. Getting those 2 birds is pretty straightforward. But I don't know. You probably would have liked to at least have one kind of in your hand. I guess like Chop does here with the thrush. That would have been made it a slightly better pickup.
Yeah, I mean, Tay at this point is it's just kind of such a it's such a rough start, for him, and I don't know if his plan is to, does he actually intend to play the Dunnock? Is he going to toss it?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. I think one of these
pick up some extra food, but then he doesn't have a fish. So
I'm kind of looking at this and thinking maybe he's going to get rid of the moorhen and go for the Dunnock and just at least get those 2 forest birds down. But then again, you're in that position of not having any kind of wetland. So just go for that 1 food. It does seem like they are intending to play both of these birds, but that is going to be so slow going at the start of this game with that limited food that they're able to get access to.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, looks like Chop picked up that magpie, so magpie. I don't know. How do you feel about that? Because I'm not really in love with it myself.
It's a bit of an unusual one. I don't necessarily see the urgency to grab it straight away. Chop was going second, so I think if it's not one of those that you pick it up in case your opponent picks it up, because I think if they wanted it, they could have taken it. So I think, it's a bit weird grabbing that. You're going to play this gull in the wetlands at some point this round. So if you wait and then draw the cards, you're going to get that tuck and that point and that extra card cycle. So it's obviously a nice bird to get down early on, because you can kind of expect, again, like we said, with the crow as well, your opponent's going to be laying eggs a good number of times throughout this game, so you can get some extra points through the round end power. That's always nice. But I certainly don't really see the urgency of something like that magpie here.
No, nor I. And you notice that Chop just denied the feeder, which I think is wise. Anytime, and this has come up on the forum with there was a chat with Wingspan and others where your opponent has a food deficiency, right? Like they're they're kind of in the same spot where they can only get one food per turn, or they've got to toss a card. So yeah, I'm with Chop here as far as it's like Chop is ahead right now.
Yeah.
So why kind of help your opponent?
Yeah, I know Chop in particular is one who will skip these kind of sharing powers where it doesn't give him an obvious advantage and is going to give his opponent an advantage. So, I mean, you can kind of look at this in the sense that, okay, if you're skipping that thrush, you both kind of got the equivalent food gaining, right? Because if you skip the thrush, you both got access to just one food. It's not like it's the case where Chop is already getting 2 or 3 food and Tay can only get 1. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. Like I said, this is classic Chop. He does like to deny those kind of free resources to give away to the opponent. But yeah, I mean, I think probably from his perspective, it's one where you don't need that food, right? I think the plan is to get this gold down first, maybe lay some eggs and start drawing some cards, and then maybe you do pick up a bird that needs some extra food, and you do choose to use that thrush. I think it's all about being selective when you are going to be giving away those free resources to your opponent. Sure,
yeah, and when it's something that is easy to forget, and certainly we all do it, right? But we just think, oh, okay, well, I'm I got to build out my board, I got to get this bird down, whatever, and that's the idea of the game, of course, if you're, assuming you're playing to win, right? Is you want to push relative advantages, and so
right.
if if it doesn't matter if you don't get as many points as you could, or if you play slower, right? It's like if you're slowing down your opponent more, or whatever. So yeah, it's all about those kind of relative advantages, or even relative disadvantages. If you take something that hurts you a little and hurts your opponent a lot, well, that's a net gain in the end. So yeah, I think it makes sense.
Yep. And for Tay, they do get this moorhen down on this turn. So yeah, we definitely got some kind of questions in the chat about why the moorhen. I think, yeah, it certainly is a tricky one to work with. I think at the moment it is just something. Obviously, they will be able to try and discard the egg here, hopefully get something better, but obviously they are bearing in mind this end of round goal as well to at least try and qualify and get the extra point. So yeah, it's just such a tricky position here for Tay. It's just going to have to be gamble from the deck, see what you can find, and if they do find something good that gets some extra cards, that's kind of what they're looking for. But even to use that moorhen's power, you need a bunch of free food, and I think certainly, I'd be expecting Chop to skip here, but it is look like he's going to use it. So it's one of those where you maybe rely on some of that free food to activate that moorhen if your opponent is going to be a bit more generous, like Chop has done here.
Yeah, what Tay would love to see happen, right, is draw a card like like the Sandpiper or the Snipe or something, and or maybe even the Condor or a Vulture or something where you can just get it down immediately and start drawing those 2 cards.
I know Tay. He'd absolutely love to pick up a Condor here. So
or the Corn Dog. The
Corn Dog, yeah. Top deck Corn Dog here. He'll get that down straight away, no questions asked. So yeah, I certainly would be expecting him to go for cards. So, it's kind of one of those positions where it's pretty obvious what you do, right? You've not got any cards, you've got a bit of food, you've got some eggs, so your only option is to go for the cards. And I'd imagine it is going to be a case of just go from the top of the deck, and yeah, really just praying and gambling that you can get something, like you said, a Sandpiper. I think would be a really good option.
Okay, hey,
that's okay.
That's not bad. There's a couple fish in in the feeder. That's
right.
Helps
the bonus card.
Helps the bonus card.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. That's. For a blind draw, like that's a decent pickup.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like you say, when you're gambling from the deck, especially with the expansion, there's just so many cards in the deck and so many that aren't going to fit with what you're doing. So, when you're only picking up 2, you're so likely to pick up just a bunch of rubbish that's never going to work with what you're trying to do. But actually, Kingfisher, like you say, there's fish there. It'd be easy for them to get down. It helps the bonus card and just kind of pushes that wetland out, that extra space. So, if you want to go for those extra cards, you're not having to pay the eggs. But here we go. We talked about Whistle Snipe.
Speaking of that snipe, yeah.
Speak of the devil. Red winged blackbird. Now, is it time?
No.
Is it time to go full tuck? Is that what I'm hearing? Oh my god! All right, he has to do it now. But he's got to tuck something here.
He's got to tuck something. Yeah, tuck that. And
I
think you deny. Look at denying the snipe here. I mean, when you look at Tay's got the food for it, and he can play it in one move.
Exactly. He's got the worm. This is smart.
Yep.
I think you're absolutely right. I think Chop just kind of took that quick look over at Tay's board, see the setup. What eggs have they got down? What food have they got? I think that's kind of real heads up play. You see it, all right, they pick up the snipe and play it immediately. I want to be avoiding letting my opponent do that. And yeah, I mean, for Chop, this is so good. They can just go for food, get this blackbird down, and just start digging through the deck. And, you're getting points, you're getting tuck cards on the eggs as well. Obviously, they've not really got anything going at the moment in the grasslands to score points. So I think this could be a good little setup that they can get going in the wetlands here.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's see how they looking. Yeah, how they looking on the end around here. I think they got a two food lead. Of course, that's about to evaporate. So yeah, like you're saying. I mean, I'm stunned because usually I never shut up. But yeah, I don't really have anything to add at the moment. Just Chop, pick up your food, get that blackbird down, and get going.
Absolutely,
pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward for both players. You get the seed, you get the blackbird down if you're Chop, and again, you just start digging. You give yourself at least 3 turns before that blackbird starts to fill up. So you're going to look at 9 cards in that time. You should be able to find something, hopefully, to either add to that or maybe go in the forest for a bit more food. So certainly still got good options. And yeah, I mean, obviously for Tay, again, pretty straightforward. They're going to just start drawing cards, look for something good. Again, that's not a bad pickup.
No, not at all.
It's
cheap, and between that and the Kingfisher, like there, you've met them in on your bonus card.
Absolutely, and I mean, if they play the Kingfisher here, right, they're going to get the free food straight away. I mean, I don't think they know about the blackbird because I think that did come off the deck. But if you play that and you get the free fish, you can then get the egret down immediately on that next turn. Just go for cards because they'll have that spare worm already to discard through the moorhen. So, I mean, it seemed a bit weird at the start of that moorhen, but it's already potentially paying off here. If you can get 2 free birds down at the start of the second round and just start building this wetlands out, that is so good for Tay to at least get something built up here and give them access to more cards.
Yeah. I mean, like you say, it really has it really has shaken out well. You get a couple cards, you get that, and unfortunately, there's nothing super great in the in the tray for them to pick up, but at least now they can they can grab a couple cards, they can maybe get point off that egret or something, and
I think that's got to be the plan, right? You go for the cards here and just kind of get this egret down. I mean, they've got this they've got one of the vultures as well, so I wouldn't be too surprised if they do try and play that. Obviously, just kind of give them maybe a bit more access to food in the forest. But yeah, I mean, this is shaping up okay here. I was a bit worried at first with the real lack of wetlands, but these first 2 turns they kind of just built this 3-bird wetlands almost out of nowhere. So that's the power that this moorhen can provide to you, especially if you're able to benefit from a bit of free food that your opponent's giving you.
Oh, the Brant.
I think I did see Malu in the YouTube chat earlier, so he'll be happy, but certainly not the bird for the situation. But almost doesn't matter. They've still got a couple more turns to dig through and get points and look at some more cards. So yeah, if you're Chop, pretty straightforward. That's what you start doing. Just hope some more tucking birds. I mean, maybe you look for a crow or a hummingbird or something like that to add to what you've got, and yeah, you can start building something up really nice in this wetlands.
Yeah, and I was taking a look to get this Junco down. Is that what he's thinking about here? Tossing that, get the food for the Junco, and
yeah, I don't mind
then
that.
at least you're starting to build a wetlands. You can, and he's going to want to be drawing,
right?
Some cards anyway, so at least it gives you something to do with the crap.
Exactly. Yeah, if you can turn those extra cards you're drawing, not just a point but a food as well, and obviously food at the moment is such a tricky resource for Tay to get hold of. That is going to be so nice. But here we go, Chop straight away, Alduin's Goal off the deck. That's what they're looking for. So you add that to your existing tucking setup. You're looking at more cards. You're getting more tuck cards as well. So I would imagine they're going to try and get that down pretty sharpish, and just really maximize.
Go chaffinch digging.
Go chaffinch digging. Go eagle digging. I think that is certainly the plan. But Tay, I did see that, right? They played the sparrow. So I think it's the Lincoln Sparrow, the migrating one over the Junco. So slightly interesting. Probably not the bird I would have looked to play, but maybe you look at those end of round goals and it's going to help there, and obviously help get some more cards and food as well. So yeah, it might not be a bad option. What do you make of that Sparrow play?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Is Chop about to?
Did he just get rid of Did he just get rid of the goal?
He just got rid of the goal.
Wow, and he's going to play the Kestrel over the goal.
Yeah, no, that's.
I think we're both speechless.
Yeah, I mean, it does. It's okay. It's 5 points for 2 food, and it's gonna. I think probably end up winning in the end of round. So. Plus helps for the second end of round. So I mean, I get it, certainly, but yeah, I would have been looking to. Yeah. I mean, you get the goal down, and you've got a 3/4 point wetland, and you're getting to see a ton of cards.
Yeah, I don't get that Kestrel play. In the position that Chop's in, they don't need to be laying eggs. I mean, you mentioned the next end of round goal. Well, you've got a bit of time. I think especially if you play the goal, you've got basically all of that round to draw cards. You find something good, maybe that's worth more points, so that gets you a bonus card. That's kind of what you look to play. I can't really see them laying eggs much in this game. You're already going to get some eggs through that Blackbird. So I think that was kind of really the decision point where, do I go all in on this full tuck or do I kind of pivot away? And yeah, it looks like they're going for the pivot away here with this Kestrel.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not. We'll just have to kind of see how that shakes out. I'm not.
You don't want to speak too soon.
Yeah, it's certainly not what I would have done. No. Read into that what you will.
Yeah. No, I mean, they are still in obviously a strong position. It's still a good wetlands that they can rely on to get a bit of a card draw and obviously some point generation as well. I do wonder if this Godwit is going to be what they look to get down. Obviously, that does help their own bonus card and give them another one as well. So it's certainly not a bad option to go for that. But yeah, something with the girl, I think it is one of those where you look at it and it's 2 food for 1 point. There is going to be a point in the game where you look at that and think, is it too late? Is it too much of an investment to get this down? Am I actually going to get the return from it? And kind of, I find that boundary is often between rounds 2 and 3. That's often that kind of critical point. So maybe he just looks at that and thinks, I'm not going to get enough usage out of this to make it worthwhile. Yeah,
and fair enough. No, if you're Tay here, I think. Looking at the end around, kind of looking at your end game, I think he's going to be looking at getting this fish crow down. Probably now, of course, the fish crow is a point sucker, right? Not a point generator. Yeah. So he's probably going to want to get that. That Junco would be nice.
Right.
a nice bird for the wetland or for the grassland. Maybe if he's looking at, I wonder if he's going to be looking at the Roadrunner, or even potentially that woodpecker. I don't know. It might help him gain some additional food, but I don't know. Not that fabulous a bird. We've got the goldfish.
We have got the goldfish, and he's deliberately gone and grabbed it. So again, that might just be with an eye on this end of round goal. Obviously, get a bit more food as well. So it's an interesting one to kind of specifically target from the tray and pick that up. But yeah, I mean, if it does help them win this round, the end of round goal, then it is certainly worthwhile. So Tay, not surprisingly, I think go for that fish crow, and I think I'd probably look to add the Junko as well. I think you kind of look at their hand at the moment, not really a whole lot else in there that you might look to play. So you're going to need to go for some cards. Obviously, move that sparrow.
Did you just say that about the OP Lark? Did you just
slander?
Yeah.
I think the Junko can still work here because they are going to get enough cards, and obviously they're going to want to lay eggs, right? You get points, like you said. The fish crow is a point sucker, as you put it. But if you've got the Junko in there as well, you're kind of making up for that egg that you're discarding. So you're still getting a few points and a couple of food. So I think that could still work. So it's just for them, really. It's all going to be about what can I get from the deck. I mean, something like that blue-winged warbler is not a bad pickup, certainly for just 2 food and 8 points. Helps that next end of round goal as well, potentially. So really, Tay's just going to have to hope that they can get something nice to play, or even if not, get that Junko down and just start tucking some of these away.
Sure, yeah, and those, if I recall right, Tay doesn't have any cherry birds down yet. I mean,
no.
He's got those 2 double grassland birds. Like that could, especially considering the last end around, that could make for a nice kind of final play.
Yeah, and they can really set this up, right? They all eat the seeds. The two double birds eat the seeds, and then you can grab the worms for the warbler as well. And like you say, you could potentially ambush your opponent here with a triple play, going for that final end of round, and then obviously they've still got this sparrow that they might look to move up as well. So that feels like it could be a nice play. Obviously, help the bonus card, help the end of round, and again, some pretty cheap birds to get down with. Potentially the kind of minimal food that Tay's going to be looking to get hold of here.
Yeah, I mean he's got very very little food gen, and one of the things that you look for with the fish crow is you're only getting that 1 food at a time, is to get kind of those lower food cost birds. Right. Now once he adds the Junko to the mix, then then he's going to be looking at 2 shots. So he's got 7 turns left. Get the Junko down here. I think you just play it on top of the or ahead of the sparrow. You don't mind locking the sparrow in.
Yeah.
But yeah, get the Junko down. Tuck and he's probably going to draw cards. One more time.
Right.
But I don't see any need to do that before this round is out. I think I don't know, potentially could draw cards now, grab the Roadrunner, maybe get that as your 4th grassland bird.
I mean, certainly options.
Either way, I mean it's kind of expensive, but
yeah, I think it is a little bit on the expensive side, and it's kind of one of those where you might play it if it helps an end of round goal or a bonus card, and not especially the case here. But yeah, I like this Junko play. They did manage to get. Ooh, okay. I'll stop because we might see a horned lark. But maybe this is an insurance against the end of round, right? You play the horned lark, and either you win the end of round goal, or you get a free point through the tuck card that your opponent's going to give you by playing a grassland bird. So that might be what is on Tay's mind here. But I would be looking at the Junko. I think you need the food, and maybe even sort of. Psychologically, I think as soon as Chop saw that fish crow go down, he thought, right, I can use this hermit thrush, and he did that straight away. And maybe if he sees the Junko go down as well, and you think, right, my opponent can get 2 food here, I can be a bit more liberal there, throwing it around and yeah, that might just help Tay with getting down some of these double birds as well in the final round.
Yeah, and I think so. And we've another point in favor of the Junko. I mean, that Eurasian magpie that Chop's got. I mean, it works. Kind of like a cowbird or something where it's it's taking a point off of your opponent's grassland. So Tay has, I mean, such a minimal engine right now that I think I'd be looking to get that Junko down, and at least you're getting a food while you're kind of mitigating the effect of that magpie somewhat.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, one thing I will just say is that I've noticed this on streams before when we've had Tay on, is that it can often be a decision like this and he will just completely freeze up and not know. And like, we've all been there, we've all had that moment, and I think it's so critical. When you get to this late game, you only got 6 or 7 turns left. You don't want to be making the wrong decision. But I think sometimes you can overthink these. You can sort of second guess yourself, and I think he is wondering about the Horned Lark and can I get some free tuck cards from that? I don't know. I still feel like the Junko is the one you want to go for here, right? Because you're going to get those tuck cards when you activate, and you get the food as well. So it's 2 points less, but I think you can certainly make up for that. So good. He's committed. Gone with the Junko.
All right.
I can relax and breathe a bit more now. Yeah, sigh of relief.
All right, man. This is somebody when you and I did that video a while back, and I think I remember somebody in the comments was like, because we got so many like OP birds and stuff in that in that setup, and somebody was like, I want to see you guys start with crap, and they've. This is kind of a preview of that, right? Where it's like there's a lot of the discussion is a lot of
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, you make a great point. When everything's going well for you and you get all the cards you want, it can almost feel like you're just on autopilot. Like, I don't have to think about my moves. I'm just playing what's coming up. Ooh, here we go. You got to grab that if you're Tay.
I don't know what that noise was I just made, but
that is potentially a game saver right there. Because you can pick that up and you can. I mean, they can't play it right now at the Moorhen because they don't have food. But man, I mean, you said earlier he was going to have to go for cards at some point, right? You go for cards now, because that Benelli's Eagle. Wow, talk about a game rescuer potentially here to bring it back here for Tay-ray.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you get that in there. You can forget about the warbler potentially, because bunting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If you're still a little bit short on food and you've got extra cards, this is what you want, this Benelli's Eagle. So absolutely, I think smart pickup. I think Chop will see that and think, oh no, why did I have to reveal that?
Yep.
And Tay will be feeling a bit more relaxed, I think, now. Still, you can kind of sometimes sense the nerves through just the body language or the kind of the movement of the mouse around the screen and things like that. But I think that will certainly help their own heart rate a little bit with that Benelli's Eagle coming up.
Oh yeah, and I mean, just to illustrate the difference, right? Like if we're assuming that the grub for the warbler would have come off the fish crow, I mean, so that's a 2-point swing, and then you add the 3 cards you can tuck, so that's that's a 5-point swing with the eagle versus the warbler. So
yeah, I mean, that's
sorry, I had to do our math quota.
Get it in there just as we go over to that final round. That's when you can start to get the maths in. So no, I'm all for that. So I think for Chop again, probably kind of straightforward for them as well. So they did pick up the Roadrunner, which I found interesting. I think maybe they're kind of gambling on this diet specialist. So they've obviously got the Thresh down for 1, and then this Black Hill Godwit, which I imagine is going to go down as well, will be their second. So maybe they pick up something else. That Mutes one is always a bit of a backup as well in the tray. So I think that's probably what they're planning. But yeah, for Tay, straight away, no messing about. I think they can probably still plan on trying to do this double play, right? You lay eggs once, you go for cards once, you lay eggs again, and then do the double play. That feels like a pretty solid 4 turns to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was talking about the
Ooh, not what you want to see.
I was
Ooh.
talking about the warbler. Like it was, the choice was between that and the eagle. Yeah, but you certainly can play them both.
Absolutely. And this raven, that might actually be pretty good for Chop here, right? You play this raven, you lay eggs. That's going to give you the exact food you need to play this roadrunner. So you max out your diet specialist. Obviously, it's kind of just from our reactions that visionary leader probably not the bonus card they were going to be looking to pick up, but could still get a few points here from this final round. But it is time to ask our community, our viewers, who's going to win this game. But obviously for me as well, I'm going to have to ask the same question to you, Groove. Who's going to win this in your mind?
No. Man, I'm gonna. I mean, let's see. Chop's got, a bit of, good, about a 10-point advantage or so, and Tux and Cash Food. Got a couple. They probably have. It looks like maybe a similar amount of bird points. Close-ish. On that front, bonus. I'm gonna. I'm gonna say Chop by like a hair.
Yeah,
I don't love it. But
no, it feels like a close one. I mean, like I probably would have said after like 2 rounds, it was Chop's to lose. Right, the setup was just so much cleaner. But I feel like Tay was already kind of bringing it back, and I feel like there was this kind of feeling in the chat as well that, with the Fishco and the Junco, it kind of felt like it was finally coming together. And then this Benelli's Eagle comes up as well. I'm trying to remember end of round goals. I think Chop might have taken the first 2, but then Tay is going to fight back and win these next 2. So that's always what you want to look to get as well.
Yeah, actually, they were. I believe they ended up tied on the second one.
Right. Okay. So maybe a slight edge to Tay overall on there, but this just feels so nice, right? This end game, they lay eggs. They're getting 4 points. Obviously, bearing in mind they are giving 1 to their opponent, but then this huge triple play at the end to win the end of round goal. Obviously, score boatloads of points in its own right, but also help the bonus card as well. So, man, it feels like it kind of, the one thing I would say that Tay looks like they're going to be leading on is the eggs, right? Like you said, they've got similar bird points.
Yeah.
End of round goals is pretty close. I think they're both going to get 6 points from bonus cards, but just kind of obviously the way that Chopper's had to play this end game to get the big point birds down and help the bonus card, they're only actually going to have 1 egg, whereas Tay is going to have maybe 4 or 5. So
yeah.
it's going to be very, very close. It is going to be very close. So we do have a lot of support in the viewer poll for Tay. We're currently on 92% thinking that Tay is going to win. So this is something I've noticed actually in these streams, is that whenever I do a poll, it tends to be whoever's got the momentum gets a lot of support in the polls. So maybe someone who's behind and starts to fight back, you kind of naturally feel like they're scoring higher because they're not scrambling for points at the end of the game. They're kind of bringing things together.
Bias.
Exactly. So I think I do agree with the poll. I think it is going to be Tay, but man, it does feel like it's going to be a close one.
Yeah, I think I want to switch. I want to do what you're supposed to do on Let's Make a Deal, and always switch.
Yeah. Obviously, some extra cash food here for Chop, and that might just help a little bit. But yeah, certainly those end of round goals looking strong for Tay. So here we go into the scores, and we're going to see just how close it is. So, oh man, yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so Tay with the slight lead. They're going to hold on to that win into round goals as well.
Yeah.
Eggs.
Tay.
Obviously, the cached food. Chop will bring it back a little bit, and it is going to come down here to these tuck cards.
Oh!
By a hair's breadth, a single point. Tay-ray.
Wood duck emoji.
Wood duck emoji indeed. Wow. So our viewers were correct in the end, just barely by the finest of margins. the single point victory. So, I mean, I'm almost out of
Incredible.
breath there, but this is a best of 3, so we've got plenty more of this to come.
Wow.
Damn, what a game. What a game. So I will just check in with our players. They might need a few minutes, maybe a change of underwear after watching those scores count up. So hopefully we're
maybe
good to
Chop
go.
needs to. Do we need to wait for Chop to play another poker tournament? I don't know.
Yeah, he needs another 8 hours.
Yeah. What is Tay is like really excited about that that
Yeah, I
bonus
don't know,
card.
I don't know if he's just left the mouse hovering over it or
Yeah.
something.
The viticulturalist bonus card's been hitting the hard stuff.
Yeah. All right. I think Chop might want to have a little debrief or something. I'm just checking with him if he wants to do
Already?
that between games. I'll just make sure. But yeah, man, what a game! What a good game that was. You know, these are two very evenly matched players. I think 2 very experienced players.
Oh,
so
for sure.
it's not a surprise to see this be so close at the end. Like I said,
No, not
do
at
hang
all.
around. Do hang around. We have got more coming. So we might be having Alex join us. I'll just check before I kick you off, and then he doesn't show up. I did see Alex in the chat earlier, so I know he is around. So cool. I think he is here. So good stuff. I will let them know they can get started. Game 2. Oh, Chop is. I did say he needed a change of underwear, but he's going for a bathroom break. So make of that what you will. Good stuff. All right, I think Alex is here. So, Groove, thank you for joining me. I will bid you farewell.
Yeah, man.
And yeah, thanks for joining.
All right, catch you next time.
Indeed. See you around.
Cheers.
All right, Alex, are you with me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hello.
Hello.
What a game! What a game!
Oh yeah, I would say it's like a masterclass on the Murchen
Yeah.
by Tay-ray.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
Every day you see the strategy around that bird, and
Absolutely.
it was forming very nice for Tay in the end game
yeah,
with that eagle and everything that happened.
yeah. I mean, I think it paid off. That Moorhen, it certainly felt at the start like it wasn't going to work, like it was maybe going to be a bit too difficult, obviously with the limited food and how expensive it was to get down originally. But it was kind of those first 2 turns, right at the start of that second round, they got the Kingfisher down. That gave them a free egg pretty quickly. They could get the egret down as well. So suddenly just building out that wetlands, that obviously gave them lots of cards, which some of those got tucked for points and food. But just being able to do that play in the forest, I think that at the end is what kind of brought it back for them. Obviously the end of round and the bonus card and just the points as well. So yeah, really kind of good to see that actually, you know, even only 2 uses out that Moorhen, I think it did pay off in the end.
Yep, I would say even activating Murchen once
Mm.
definitely mean that the bird paid out.
Yep. Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's really hard to activate.
It is, and I think it was very timely when they did manage to do it. So it was all about getting that Kingfisher down when they did, and then being able to get the free fish straight away. Then that very next turn, getting the egret down. I think it can be very difficult with the Moorhen, where you're kind of trying to get the food to be able to activate it, and certainly with the kind of limited food access that Tay did have, it was so tricky. But yeah, it did work out. And then obviously that kind of big critical decision for them between going for the horned lark or go for the junco. I think the junco in the end, that is what helped as well, just with that little bit of food. They could get that triple play down, like I said. And yeah, man, what a game indeed. And hopefully we get an equally close and equally as hotly contested second game here with these 2 players.
For sure. So like they have combined, I believe, like 2,000 Elo games. So
something
definitely
like that.
a lot of experience.
Yeah.
and a lot of possibilities for the players to provide the best Wingspan experience.
Yeah, and they've both been on stream a lot, so they'll be well beyond the kind of live stream match nerves to they'll be able to put that behind them. But yeah, like you said, lots of experience, lots of ELO experience, lots of tournament experience as well between the two. So here we go. We are into game 2, and did I see a Raven in the tray? Are my eyes deceiving me? There we go. Straight away, Chop going first this game. Yeah, pretty straightforward to grab that Raven, I think.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just like turning on the stream.
You're okay. You weren't just in awe at the presence of a Raven. I know that can happen sometimes, but yeah, pretty solid for the other cards. Obviously, the black turn. You kind of look for that nice wetland bird, right? If you've got the Raven, you can get as much food as you want, but you need to be able to get the card draw to support it, so that's going to help. And then snow bunting, you know, we've all had our say on that. We all know it's a good bird, so if it's going to work, if it's going to activate properly, then that's going to help as well. But this golden oriole is an interesting one. You know, I think sometimes there is a case for getting something in the forest down in a situation where you are running with a Raven. But you know, maybe it's a little bit of a greedy start. I don't know. What's your take on that, Alex? Is that something you might look to keep here or not?
It's a hard one. I want to see like the end of round goals, but they are kind of
they're hidden away.
Yeah, hidden away from me a little bit. So seems like Oriole works for, well, at least 2, right?
Yeah.
And then for the last one, I'm not sure because I can't see what's the last one.
So the last one is white and no powers, so it won't help for that. But
okay.
like you said, it's going to help for at least those middle 2. So could be a case for keeping it there.
Yeah, and still, yeah, if you have like a Raven or any power 4 bird in the tray, you want to have a plan for the first 8 turns.
Yeah.
So, yeah, obviously playing that turn, drawing some cards, but then you might also want to play some other birds.
Absolutely, yeah.
And Oriole, since it works for a couple end of rounds, and might potentially bring like food without going to take food action to actually play that Raven.
Yeah,
so I think it's a nice choice.
Now, I would agree with you, but this is a pretty nice start for Tay here. So the Hummingbird and the Crow, I think they can pretty straightforwardly get those both down in the grasslands and not feel too bad about giving away the free food. Obviously, they know this Raven's going to get picked up, so you know, Chop is certainly not going to be short of food. So I think being able to throw the food around a little bit more with something like a Hummingbird is not too dangerous. And this Grebe as well for the wetlands, really, really nice opening wetland bird. Obviously, one of these new European expansion birds, you get to draw a card for every empty slot in the wetlands. So if that's your only wetland bird down, you're going to be picking up 4 cards and keeping the best one. So early in the game, when you're not able to see that many cards ordinarily, being able to see 4 in a single turn is just so huge. So this feels like a pretty straightforward start here, I think, for Tay.
Yeah, and obviously Chop cannot see the Tay's hand, so Oriole might still be considered, but then since it's 3 food cost, probably Chop will Hummingbird or the Crow get 3.
All right, we might be losing Alex a bit here, so I'll just check that everything's all right. But I think
maybe also.
Yeah, I think for Chop, obviously the Raven's going to get picked up straight away. They can kind of go with the flow a bit, I think, with the Oriole, right? So I think if Tay does get this Hummingbird down first turn in the grasslands, which I imagine is what's going to happen, Chop is probably going to need to think twice about the Oriole, because I think as soon as you see a grassland Hummingbird up against a Raven, you're going to think there's no way that they're going to be activating that forest and going for food that way. So yeah, I don't really think there's too much here for Tay-ray to think about. I think you get the Hummingbird down, you go for eggs, you get the Crow down. go for eggs again and just try and get this greed down and start drawing cards. I think that for me is what I would be prioritizing. And yeah, I mean, it is dangerous, obviously, giving away some food to help your opponent get this Raven down straight away in round 2 without having to go for food. But I think it's just going to help Tay-ray's tempo so much in getting these birds down very, very quickly in this first round that I think you just accept that as kind of part of life and just take it on the chin.
Yep. Am I back? So
I think
did you mention that I had like a robot voice or something?
Yeah, it sounded like you might have been disappearing, but I think we've got you back, which is excellent.
Okay.
So hopefully you are here to stay for this game. But yeah,
hope so too. So
right,
you pretty much described everything that I wanted to say.
Yeah.
So if I was lost, sorry about that.
No, all good. Now, that was what Tay-ray was thinking about. So they've gone and grabbed this Seti's Warbler. Now, this is one of those interesting European expansion birds where they're going to count double for the end of round goals. Now, there's sometimes a bit of confusion about which end of round goals they do or don't count for. This is one of those positions where if they can get it down in this first round, it's going to help for that first end of round goal, but it's going to help with that second one as well. And I think if it can help you win, to be honest, even just one end of round goal, I think it's worthwhile. But certainly if it can help you for 2, that's a very nice position to be in. So yeah, I actually don't mind the Seti's Warbler pickup. And additionally, it has delayed that Hummingbird 1 extra turn. And so Chop did have to go for the food. He is still kind of committing to this Oriole, so this is interesting. I think he will need to think carefully about this, about whether it is worth playing and how much am I going to get out of that? Is it worth the 3 food investment, or should I just look to build up this wetlands first and make most of the free food, going into that second round from this Hummingbird to get the Raven down quicker?
Yeah, and from my side, I would say I wouldn't play Golden Oriole right away, because it seems like the opponent has a plan of providing food for themselves, but also for you. So I would probably play turn and hope for the free food for the Oriole.
Yeah.
But yeah, in any case, the play was made, and we'll see how it works out for Chop.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think I would have held off on the Oriole just a little bit longer. But yeah, what was mentioned in the chat that I was going to pick up on was we did have that single rodent in the feeder. Obviously, Chop didn't keep one. He opted to keep the food for the Oriole instead. And I think Tay-ray very, very kind of smartly there grabbed the rodent just to deny Chop from being able to get that. So I think obviously Chop is going to get more chances with the bird feeder being re-rolled. But I like that. Tay-ray can obviously use the rodent here to pay for this crow. They just needed any food, and I think if you can deny that rodent from an opponent where they've got a Raven, that is so valuable. So yeah, I like that. I think that was a good play by Tay-ray.
For sure, and now I would like to know the Chop's reaction when he sees a grassland now.
Yes.
So Oriole doesn't look so good now.
Yeah,
and it just works for the end of rounds, so hopefully Chop can make some profit from that, at least.
Yeah, I think you're right. He's going to look at this Hummingbird Crow and realise now, that Oriole's not going to get much use, and obviously it was such a huge investment. This has been pointed out in the chat. It's just kind of slowing down the wetlands game as well a little bit. So they could have maybe got the turn and the bunting down and then start drawing cards and just relied on some of this free food to get the Raven down, but potentially they are kind of slowing things down a bit. I think they've set themselves up here to go for the cards, having just laid eggs, so they do obviously give themselves every chance of maybe finding something good, or even if not, they can go for the re-roll on the bird feeder. But man, no rodents again on the re-roll. Tay is going to be very, very happy when he sees that.
Yep, and the thing about even it's house ruled, right? So I would prefer Crawl 10 times out of 10. So it's very easy to play any type of food and you're good to go, and you only need one other bird, and luckily Tay was able to get that other bird that also helps him
Right. Yeah.
with the food. So
yeah, it's a really interesting point that you make. Like obviously, like you said, the raven is house ruled, so we can't get it down until round 2. You know, would you rather have that hummingbird crow in that first round? I think you almost would, because you look at what Tay's managed to do here. This setup is so clean. They've already got the extra eggs. They're getting 2 foods that, you know, this raven is going to give to Chop, but not until the second round. And this first round is so important and is so long. And if you can't get that extra food access, you know, for those 8 turns, it can really, really slow you down. So for Tay, this just feels so smooth, right? They've got these birds down. They can lay eggs once more, get this warbler down. They set themselves up so nicely to win the end of round goal, and also just to go for cards in that second round. So yeah, I almost feel like this hummingbird crow is the better setup here than what Chop is going to get down with this raven.
Am I still here?
You are still here.
Yeah, because like my...
Oh, maybe I spoke too soon. That's always the way. Curse of the commentator. Hopefully we get Alex back. But yeah, like I said, for Tay, this is so nice. Grab the worm. They can get the seeds, and they're knowing that they're not giving a reroll to Chop. And that's just going to hurt Chop so much because they've not got this rodent. They're really kind of gambling. I imagine they're going to go for food on this turn. They've got so many cards and kind of quite a few, obviously, that they want to play. But I think at least that woodpecker they can look to discard and hopefully get a rodent. So yeah, if you Chop, that's got to be the priority, right? You go for the rodent and at least allow yourself to get this raven down as soon as possible in the second round. But here we go. There we go. There's where all the rodents have been hiding. So that's looking better for Chop. But yeah, I believe, Alex, hopefully you are back once again.
Yeah, we have a storm here, so I'm not sure how long I can stay. But yeah.
Hopefully it's not going to like completely wipe out your internet connection. But we'll see. We'll work with it. If you're here, you're here, and that's great. And if you're not, we'll work through it. So
I also wanted to make a point that while you have a crow, a hummingbird setup, you also had like the grip plate, and it seems like in the very first round, Tay had better food production and better card production because he could look at 5 birds, I believe, and keep 2. Like, or even 6 birds if you discard an egg and keep 3, right? So without the static warbler plate, of course, but still the card draw was on point, and the food production was combined with a very nice setup in the first round.
I think Alex is getting blown away by the storm.
Exactly around 2 turn 1.
Okay, I think I understood what Alex was saying there, and yeah, the card draw for Tay has been so much more solid, and obviously going into the second round as well. Some okay pickups there. I think the Kingfisher in particular, they can easily look to get that down. Helps again with this end of round goal that they're already looking very strong for, and helps with the bonus card as well. So that feels pretty easy for them to try and get that down and go for some extra cards potentially. But for Chop, they've obviously got this food here to get this raven down. Now, there were a couple of points in the chat that I think I do agree with, that Tay could have looked to skip that hummingbird at the end of the previous round. So I think they still could have got the Seti's Warbler down anyway, and just obviously by giving Chop that extra food did maybe allow them to get this raven down. But I think they could always have gone for the discard and got the extra food. So not too much of an issue, I think, for Tay to have given that away. But yeah, obviously for Chop, they'll be happy finally get this raven down. But I'm kind of looking at Chop's hand and thinking, what do you add to this in the grasslands? You know, you want to add something at the moment. Whenever they lay eggs, you're only getting 1 egg, as well as obviously that 2 food. So I think you do need to add something, and the options they've got in their hand aren't going to be those nice strong brown powers that you look for adding to that. So maybe they kind of gamble a bit on the deck, or maybe they just kind of settle with what they've got. And I think really you want to get one of these two birds down in the grasslands, just so you are at least getting a few extra eggs when you are taking that action. Okay, so Tay, again, some good card pickups. I feel like this always happens when you go for the Grebe, is that you pick up a load of trash on one turn, and you have to keep one of them. And then the next turn, you pick up multiple good cards. Oh my god. That you want to keep. And speak of the devil, Franklin's Goal, straight away. So, man, that is horrible, because you want to keep all three of these birds. And he is almost considering not keeping the gull, but I think you have to here, right? That gull, with the existing food that Tay is already getting in the grasslands, is just so good. So, oh man, that is a dream pull, I think, there for Tay, grabbing that goal. And yeah, unless Chop can get lucky from the deck, and maybe they get killed here, or even just a tucking bird, I think a barn swallow would be very nice for them. That feels very, very difficult for them to come back from if they're up against this kind of grasslands once this gull goes down. That is very, very tricky to fight up against. All right, if you're there, Alex, you can talk to me. Hopefully, you've not been blown away by the storm. So, I would take silence as a sign that you may potentially have been blown away by the storm, which is never good, but we'll work through it. So, yeah, Chop going for the bunting. Now, there's always a case to be made for the snow bunting, right? Because it's such a strong bird. The pink power is so nice. You get free tucks whenever your opponent tucks, and I sometimes question whether it's worth playing unless you know that your opponent has got tucking powers already. So, it's one of those where if your opponent's already going heavy on the tucks, you can slap down a snow bunting and counter that very nicely. But if you see that your opponent doesn't have any, I think you could still make a case for it. I think it is still one of those where it almost puts your opponent off going for those tucks. So, if I'm Tay-ray, I might be looking at that waxwing in the tray. They're going to have so much food with that, but obviously just getting points as well. But it is one of those, now you see that snow bunting and you think to yourself, I'm not necessarily going to get the extra, points out of that, because I'll get a point, but my opponent gets a point and also a card cycle, which when you've got a Raven, I think being able to cycle cards is just so valuable. So, yeah. I did wonder here, Chop likes to do this as well, skip the hummingbird when you know your opponent wants to go for that reroll. I don't mind that at all. So, yeah, I think for Tay-ray, that's still fine. You can still force this waxwing down. I don't mind overpaying, purely because you're just going to have so much free food from the hummingbird and the crow and the waxwing. Yeah, overpaying a little bit here, you're going to get 3 food a turn. For the rest of the game, so not a problem. But the Chop, oh man, did he get viticulturist last game, or was that Tay-ray? I think it might have been Tay-ray. But again, you grab it. They've already got one down. Obviously, that golden oriole that is not going to see much use for the rest of the game. If it at least helps for the viticulturalist, maybe that can pay for itself there. But yeah. I think Chop's going to need a minor miracle here to come back from this, because this is just looking so strong here for Tay-ray. We talk about this time and time again, right? When you're building an engine like this, you want to have it done by the end of the second round, because then you can just spend the rest of the game using that engine. Obviously, this Franklin's Goal is going to give him so many cards. You get loads of eggs, and you get tucks with the waxwing as well, and all this extra food. It's an absolute dream to have that set up already, so that you can just run it so cleanly for the rest of the game. But hey, Chop is getting some pretty good pickups, and another one there in the Warbler. So when you have Raven, there's always sort of two options you go down. You either go down the very heavy engine building route where you score lots of points laying eggs, getting tuck cards, or you go big birds. And I think the deck is very much kind of forcing Chop down this big birds route. So obviously he's already got the Spoonbill. He's now got 3 bonus card giving birds in his hand plus his Blue-winged Warbler, that I think you probably look to get down and just gamble, and hope that you get some good bonus cards, right? And certainly the more birds you get down and the more bonus cards you draw, the more options you give yourself. So if Chop can pick up some nice bonus cards, like I say, they are still in with a shout here, but this feels very, very strong here for Tay-ray. All right, so minor Alex update. I think he's being blown away by the storm. So luckily we came prepared, and we have a substitute commentator ready on hand. So just in time, we've got Grackle and Obrant. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Yeah, this is a very engaging game.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, it's really a bummer that Alex's internet is out, but happy to hop in.
Absolutely. Yeah. How you've been watching this game so far? What's your kind of take on how this has all evolved for both these players?
Yeah, well, I feel like the fundamentals of Chop's economy are strong. A lot of good birds sort of waiting in the wings to be played later, but Tay-ray has amassed quite the engine. So yeah, I think it's probably leaning a bit Tay-ray at this point. Yeah,
and I think we did just see at the end of that round, Tay-ray managed to grab the house sparrow from the deck. So that's very nice of them. Obviously, kind of already said they're going to have so much extra food through these bird powers they've got in their grass, and so if they can try and focus on, I think it's seeds for the house sparrow to try and grab some extra seeds, and obviously turn those into tuck cards as well. That's going to be very, very nice. But man, Chop is getting all of the big point birds here, right? It's just got Bald Eagle and Wild Turkey, so the game is very much kind of ushering him down this path of, just lay eggs, get food from the Raven, and just play these big point birds and try and get some nice bonus cards as well. And like I said towards the end of that previous round, if you get some nice bonus cards, you're very much in with the shout here. So we'll just have to wait and see.
I think that Blackbird, yeah.
I was wondering that as well. You kind of look at all the cards that Tay-ray has already got. It is one of those where, okay, if you're tucking 2 and you're drawing 2 with the gull, you're not actually gaining any. And sometimes I think if you are low on cards, obviously you want to play some at some point. So you might sometimes find that you have to skip the tucks. But I think this is good, and it's a good counter to the snow bunting, because it's one of those where you only get 1 tuck whenever your opponent is tucking. So Tay-ray can do 2 tucks, and suddenly Chop is still only getting 1. So I think if you can make up that point deficit there, I like that. I think that's a smart pickup. And obviously
it is.
Yeah, go on.
It is sad about that house sparrow though, because it satisfies the bonus card. It's a ton of egg space, and also it's a good place to take some of this extra food potentially and put it to good use later. I think Tay will run out of egg slots. Pretty soon. Yeah,
I think that is going to be a problem for them. They will need to kind of pay attention to that. I mean, obviously the gull takes away an egg, the crow takes away an egg, so you are getting rid of some of your eggs or whatever you're going for that action. But obviously now with this Blackbird, that's going to give you an extra egg. If Tay-ray finds himself with all this extra food and you want to start discarding for eggs, that's going to give you extra eggs as well. So I think Tay-ray's got enough to work with, though. I think probably the Kingfish is going to go down anyway, because it does at least help that bonus card. And maybe they get something for it as well. Obviously, Chop has got plenty of big point wetland birds to get down. So I think that's kind of what the goal is going to be. Lay eggs for as long as I can until I run out of space, and then if I draw something better, play that. And if not, I've got some pretty decent options anyway.
Yeah, and there's still time to find another good bird to fit that bill.
Yeah,
no pun intended. Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely a tricky one to predict. I think for this end of round.
Ooh, hello, Puffin.
Oh boy. Okay, that's very good for Tay.
Yeah, that's what you want to see.
Yeah, because I think Chop has to win on big cards.
Yeah.
And bonuses, and if Tay can keep up in that regard, then that's
exactly.
going to become a bit insurmountable.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's what you're looking for, right? Obviously, you get one with the crow, and then get one on the reroll. So that's pretty straightforward for Tay-ray to get that down. Does help for that next end of round goal. So I think this is kind of where Chop is going to be strong. Like you said, he's got all these big point birds, but they are going to help for that final end of round goal as well. So when you're kind of already fighting hard against a big point engine that Tay-ray's got set up, I think if you can target those end of round goals, that's always nice.
Is it just me, or is the snow bunting not activating?
It is not activating. So I think someone did pick this up in the chat as well, and Chop did message on Discord that it is not activating. So I did say when they had it that sometimes you're kind of gambling, is it going to work, is it going to not? Luckily it doesn't crash the game anymore, so you kind of take that when you could get it, but obviously not ideal. So hopefully that doesn't come into play here and affect the result of this. So we'll keep an eye on it, but kind of like I said, with the double tucks that Tay-ray's getting here, I think that does help against any sort of potential tucking that the Chop would have been able to get with the snow bunting.
It's true, but I mean, never fun to be on the opposite end of that. You know, even if it may not have made a difference in the end. This is definitely one of those games where every point would count.
Yeah. And it's a frustrating one as well. You know, when you're playing, I think even if the stakes aren't high, it's still frustrating when you've got a bird like that isn't working how it should. So I can understand the frustration there, but yeah, you just got to play through it. You got to kind of still focus and maximize the points, and I think they have still got plenty of good options in their hand that they'll look to get down. So I think probably the turkey is what they'll go for here. Helps this end of round goal. Obviously Tay hasn't got anything yet, but I think probably this blackbird is what's going to go down. That helps there, and plenty of egg space as well that they'll look to use going into this final round. Yeah, there we go. Blackbird does indeed go down, and it's not great. Obviously, only 4 points, but it does help for both the end of round goals. So maybe it might come into play for that next one, but certainly at least you've got to qualify for this third end of round goal and at least make sure you're getting the points there.
Yeah, this does not count for 2 in this end of round, does it? It's just 2 slots. It's one bird.
Yeah, I know there is some confusion about that because I know there's one of them which is like there's one of them which is how many columns that you fill up, and so it does count double for that because it's technically covering 2 columns. I know I've got confused as well because I thought it would count double for the ecologist, but it didn't. So I was kind of basing my whole game on it counting and getting those 2 columns, but that again is counting birds, so it's something to be wary of. But I didn't see this as a potential option that Tay-ray's considering. So I think they are looking at this Nutcracker as a way to potentially tie the end of round, and I actually don't mind that. I think it works.
Value.
Yeah, I mean it's already good value on its own, right? It's 1 food for 4 points, but if you throw in those extra 3 points you get from the end of round, then I think certainly you can make a case for it. Again, it's going to help a little bit on the egg space front. So I think if you're Tay-ray, you go for that. You've clearly still got this puffin in your pocket. You play that next round, and then it's just about what else you can find. You know, hopefully some other nice big point birds to try and get down alongside that.
Yeah. Now, how many grubs to discard here? Because
that is the
grubs
question.
Are actually pretty precious.
Yes. Yeah, and I think this is where Choppers kind of they've got to do their sums, and to an extent you've got control over that because you've got your raven giving you food, but you don't know how much free food this hummingbird's going to give you. So I think you want to make sure you can get as many of these down. Some of it is going to be about that eagle. You know, if you play that, how many fish can you get? You know, if you get a couple of fish, maybe you can play extra birds. but yeah, I probably would have kept the worms there. I think it's unlikely. I think it's unlikely at the end of this round that you're going to have more than 5 and have missed any chances. So if you keep them, you give yourself time to assess and decide. And obviously, if you choose to still keep them at the end of the game, you get another chance to get the tucks then.
No, for sure. I think that's been a good lesson on your channel. Is delay as long as some of these decisions. Yeah. But we'll see. I mean, a 5-fish bald eagle could come out of nowhere.
Stranger things have happened, so you never know.
And if you're the Benelli,
here we go. Wow.
I was gonna say if you're behind, you have to gamble, but against Benelli's.
Yeah, that's very nice. That's very nice for Tay-ray. And I think picking up that kinglet as well, that is smart. So they're thinking about this end of round goal. Obviously, if you're going to max out the tucks on that eagle, you're not going to need food to play it. So you're going to have some spare food. Being able to do a double bird like the kinglet is a nice option. So, man, that is good for them. They'll be able to get it down. And here we go. Snow bunting. Now it decides to play nice.
Okay. I'm fascinated, like what the actual origin of this bug is. If it appears in this weird conditional way. I don't really know, because I have seen that before where I have some bugs that will periodically activate during the game. So I know there's some like where hummingbirds skip your turn. I've had that where it happens once and then I'll activate it the next turn and it'll be fine. It's kind of very temperamental over whether it wants to work or not. So well, at least he's getting some right. So I think he might have missed maybe 3 or 4 tucks in the second or third round. So hopefully it's not going to be a factor. As I say, I think with this puffin, obviously depending on the bonus card, but I think as well just with this Benelli's eagle, the huge points that's going to bring as well. There we go. Fishery manager. I think you take that. That's I mean, I think that Kingfisher becomes a pretty good play now.
Yeah, and
especially if it's still needed for the.
Yeah, are they still one off on the other bonus cards? I think.
Yeah.
Yes, I think they are. So that's 4 points for the bird, another 4 points for that bonus card, and another 5 points for the other one. That feels like a pretty straightforward play to me right now. That is very, very nice there for Tay-ray.
No, that's brutal, because at least one was sort of, I guess, expected, not that likely, but I think one extra fish would have made the difference between playing one of these bonus cards or not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe
I guess you could still play it.
Yeah, because at this point, if you're Tay-ray, you probably don't need to use the hummingbird. I think you can get away with skipping that. And I mean, that if you do activate it, your opponent's probably going to try and get a worm at least and use the Swift. So yeah, that is a shame. Like you say, I think if you get that one fish, you lay eggs, you play one of these birds that you've got, and then obviously you can go for eggs again and get some worms to use for the Swift. But definitely one fish I think Chop would have been happy with. So it's disappointing to get that reroll and not see any.
Yeah. I guess it's more efficient though than it otherwise would be, because you have an extra sort of awkward food with the Raven, but that can go to feed the Swift. So
yes, and I think that's a case where something like the Swift can be very nice. I think it happens anyway in a game where you often find you end up with some extra food left over, and I think certainly with a Raven setup like this where you don't have the option to discard some extra food for eggs, you can often find just that one extra spare food, or particularly in a case like this where you've got a hummingbird on your opponent's board, you might get some extra food thrown at you. So yeah, being able to discard that. But yeah, again, this is a case where maybe if Chop had kept hold of those 3 worms, right, that could have just maybe come into play here to help get more than one of these birds down. But
although
fine margins.
Yeah, I think, I mean, if Chop was going to be so food constrained, and I think Chop might get an extra food off this hummingbird.
Potentially. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think if Tay wants to play that Kingfisher and also play the Kinglet, probably. Yeah. And the Benelli's full.
Well, because so this is what I'm trying to work out, because I'm pretty sure that Tay had 2 cherries at the start of this turn, so I think he must have discarded one to get an extra food, to get an extra egg. Sorry, so
I see.
Yeah, and I think because is he going to have enough cards? I think he's not even going to have enough cards to do all of the tucks. So I think I think he can't do the double play because
I see.
Yeah, I think the way this is set up now, he can get the eagle down. Use those extra 3 cards and then still play the Kingfisher. So I think the original plan was to do that double play and help for the end of round. I'm not sure it's going to be a factor in any case.
Yeah,
but
that extra egg, I guess. Well, I guess you would have needed you would have needed more cards. You would have needed
Yeah.
One of those cases where there may be 5 or 6 different ways of doing it, but they all are probably equivalent or at least within 1 point. Difference.
Yeah, I know just from my perspective, it is one of those where when you're doing a lot of tucking, I think even in an engine like this, but particularly if you're going heavy on the wetlands and drawing and tucking lots of cards, trying to work out whether it's worth going for an eagle and how much food do I need versus should I skip a tuck if I'm just going to tuck it later anyway. It can be quite a difficult, tricky thing to work out. But yeah, I think this is fine from Tay here. They're not going to end with any extra food, they're not going to end with any extra cards, and whenever you do that, I feel like you've not really left too much on the table there.
No, it's a good heuristic for whether you've been maximally efficient.
Absolutely.
Although, those empty egg slots at the end of the games like that, always do cry out to me as well. But...
Yeah, it's tricky though, because to finish a game with all of your egg spaces filled up and having not missed out any eggs, and also have no cards and no food. You need a perfectly efficient game to achieve that, and it is difficult. And obviously, when you pick up birds like the Benelli's eagle, that's going to be so much better for you to play that than go for the egg. So I think you can make peace with a few extra egg spaces when you're able to do a play like this.
Yeah, I do wonder sometimes, has a perfect game of Wingspan, a maximally efficient game, ever existed that hasn't been played by Sim?
That's a very good question, because there's always what ifs. There's always those questions of, I could have squeezed out an extra couple of points if I'd done this first, and then something appears in the tray and suddenly your previous turn wasn't efficient, and you've always got those questions on your mind that you're kind of thinking about. But yeah, that's a very deep Wingspan question. Has a perfectly efficient game ever happened? Answers in the chat, please. But yeah, this has been a game of 2 bonus card luck, right? Because you've got Nestbox Builder and Fishery Manager for 15 on one side, and I think Chop he did manage to max out the Orologist, which is good. I think Viticulturist he just got the lower bound, so only 9 points there. And 1 extra bonus card. That always stings a little bit.
No, it does. I mean, if that wasn't the nail in the coffin.
Yes. I think the ship has sailed for Chop, but we do have the scores counting up, so they are going to get a slight lead, obviously on the bird points, but then the bonus cards are going to bring it back a little bit there for Tay-ray. So it's pretty close here. It's looking pretty close, but then we know it's going to be eggs. We know it's going to be all these tuck cards as well that Tay-ray did manage to get at the end of the game. And it's not too embarrassing. 110 to 100. Yeah, and if there were a few snow bunting tucks, maybe I think maybe 4 or 5 that were missed, that does bring it closer into the sort of realms of being able to win that game. But
if that last bonus card had been a 6 point,
absolutely
6 point plus, I think might have the bunting would have made the difference.
Quite potentially, but good game by both players, and I think I will just take both of our players off deafen and get them off mute as well. So we will come first over to Tay-ray. So congratulations first of all, and it is a win on a live stream for you. I mean, how must that feel?
I want to cry. No, thank you. That has been a while.
It's been a long time coming, but no, a good performance. I mean, that first game in particular was so very close, and it looked like a real grind for you to get through it. But we were questioning the Moorhen, but it seemed like you managed to make it work in the end.
Yeah, I mean, it was really a desperate option. I really didn't have better options, so just kind of make the best use of it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you certainly did. Managed to get that kind of wetlands built up out of nowhere, and then obviously game 2 was already a pretty good start. I think Hummingbird Crow up against a Raven, you feel pretty confident with that, and then the girl appears, and you kind of get that down, and it all feels very much on rails from there. Just getting the cars, getting the food, and it looked a lot smoother there for you in that second game.
Yeah, I must say both are really close game, and they both basically got carried by Eagles. So good game, Chop.
Yeah, when you grabbed that Benelli's Eagle in game 2, that was a very nice pickup indeed. But yeah, I will come now to Chop. So obviously, bad luck, but good performances, I think, in both games. Like Tay-ray said, they were very close games in the end.
Yeah, just is what it is.
Yeah,
not much to do. Well played, Tay.
Yeah, thank you. You too.
Sweet. Short and sweet. I like it. So good stuff. Like I said, this was a best of 3, but we only needed the 2 games. So Tay-ray takes the series 2-0 and goes through into the next round, where I believe you are facing Daniel. So waste no time. You can reach out to Daniel and get that game in the calendar. But yeah, that wraps us up for today. So thank you to the players for agreeing to stream this. Obviously, it was a little bit last minute, but we got it to work. And thank you to Gracklet Oatbrand, particularly for jumping in at the very last minute with Alex being blown away in the storm. But glad to have you here.
Well, I'm happy to help out.
Excellent, good stuff. And yeah, thank you everyone for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed
thank you.
this game. And do stick around. I believe we have another live stream tomorrow, later in the day. So, stick around, check that out, and we'll see you next time.